It's time for the throw punch! Well, we did say we were doing a stream today, and
here we are.
Fortunately, Father Nathan Monk might be running late. I'm not 100% sure what the situation is. So instead, we have admin Elo and we have admin X Squid.
We have stage
Anything
fright.
good happened today?
What? So yeah, we didn't have like a backup plan. I can't believe it.
I never have a backup plan. If one of our guests doesn't show, I'm like, fuck it. You know what? We're going
live. Let's do it.
We're going live. The view count will be like 100 people, and then all of a sudden they're like, what? Fuck this. I'm
You're
out.
just gonna talk amongst yourselves.
Drops to like 7 people. I did send a text. I sent an email, and I don't know. I haven't gotten a reply to anything, so I have no idea what's going on. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. If there is a scheduling conflict, I have not been apprised of it. So, shit. I'm over here like talking shit, and he's there. I'm like, this mother.
All right, first off, I'm not the asshole who booked a guy with ADHD in the middle of the goddamn afternoon. So that was y'all.
No.
No, here's
I'm just trying to do these in the evening, so that way I can
get
drink.
on. I get on, and I'm like, I'm on time. I'm so proud of myself.
You are on
Look
time.
at me.
Fine.
And then I open the email. I actually have the link. I click it and it goes, browser not supported.
Oh, no.
That same thing.
And so
What browser
now
are you using?
Firefox, like everybody else, right? No, I'm just kidding. I was using Safari, and apparently my Safari wasn't updated, and so. But here I am.
No.
Happy to be here.
Yay!
I haven't used Firefox. I'm still stuck on Google Chrome, so there's.
Well, apparently I'm a Google Chrome girl now because I've got it, so we're good to go.
Well, it worked, and here you are.
I was getting a little panicky there because I was like, what am I going to talk about by myself?
Reflection on us, not you.
Yeah, we never have a backup plan for these, so.
No, that's fine. Well, here we are. So what y'all got going on today?
Well, you know, just
I'm
another
at
day
work.
in the land of the free.
I'm working.
Yeah, me too. Very hard.
It's actually getting past my bedtime here.
He's in Europe.
Yeah, I'm in Germany.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting.
So what's the hour over that away?
Say again, please.
What time is it over there?
It's 9:05 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
He will turn into a pumpkin shortly.
You bet I do. Like clockwork in about, I'd say, about 45 minutes.
Did you guys watch any of that live stream that was going on in DC like
Yeah.
an hour ago?
Sounded kind of crazy.
No,
The
I
one
missed
from
it.
the mayor, the DC mayor is, I don't know if she's still doing it, but there was a live stream that started an hour, 2 hours ago. I don't know. And it's weird. Like she sounds like she's got Stockholm syndrome or something.
Yeah.
It's this press conference. Like, so the news came out this morning, I guess, that Union Station was now directly under
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Department of Transportation, or in essence, you know, the president took over Union Station, whatever. So there's a press conference, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is gonna be good," because they were trading barbs and on social media or whatever. Like he was like, "You better get your act together, or else you're not going to be the mayor," or something like that. So people are like, "What's going to happen here?" And then it was like Game of Thrones. Everybody bent the knee right there on the the live thing. I was like, "What the?" This was not what I was expecting.
Well,
They're like, "Oh yeah."
this is the thing that I think people are really unprepared for in a regime like this is that very problem of people just all of a sudden, you know, even people that they thought were heroes, that they thought were going to just keep fighting, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're done, we're going to join in. You know, I mean, it's like, for example, the literally today, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce put out, you know, this announcement about how they're increasing the police force downtown and all this kinds of stuff, and they're cracking down on homelessness. They're cracking down on all these issues. And meanwhile, we're like, Gavin Newsom is the only man who will be able to fight Trump. You know, and it's like cute.
This is fear,
Kind
right?
of smell. Yeah, it's all smells the same, and I think that fear. I just don't think, you know, and maybe it's just because I was blessed with, you know, suicidal ideation and depression, but I didn't know this many people cared about living. Like they are just really, really, really afraid, and I don't know, to lose their job, to die. You know, I guess being homeless, I was like, well, I've done it once, I can do it again. But like, folks are just terrified, and they'll do anything. They'll just bend over backwards and betray their own morals, their own ethics, or at least seemingly have those things. And it's going to come more. And I mean, just look at what's happening with Snoop. What was it? Not a year and a half ago, whenever it was, you know, 10 years ago, whatever, when the Olympics were happening, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Snoop Dogg is America's grandpa," and you know, I could just imagine sitting on his lap and smoking some ganja, you know, and everyone just thought he was cute and adorable. And then now he's like, yeah, but also Trump's kind of cute and I hate lesbians. And we're going to see more and more of that. And that erodes at morale, which is also a huge component of it. Because once you start watching your heroes fall like that, it makes you look to your right and your left and go, are these people that I'm on the picket line with, can I even trust them? Because everyone else has betrayed me.
Yeah. It's hard to know. And I feel like our job is partly in morale to sort of frame that in a way that doesn't make everyone feel worried and angry and all of those things. But it's really hard. I mean, I think it's sort of that aspect of purists who say, oh, well, F them. They are on the other side now. I think it helps put things in context more when you see now the way people behaved in real fascist times in World War II era, for example.
Sure.
I could understand this is why people have to at least put on the appearance that they are going along with it.
Well,
There's
and I think,
Yeah.
but that, I think, in lies the issue, right? Like the data point that I keep hearing over and over and over again. I was at a meeting yesterday for the Tennessee Immigration and Refugee Coalition, and they were using similar data metrics that all it takes is 3.5% of the population to take some sort of action, and you can topple a fascist regime. And I think why folks are getting angry and demoralized is because that's really not a huge number of people. And with each individual that we watch, like Big Sarge said, bend the knee, all of a sudden it's like, actually, we're never going to reach that number. Like, we're just not going to reach that number if people keep toppling. And so it seems like 3.5% seems like a manageable number to achieve, except people keep falling off.
Right, because it isn't just enough for it to be those of us out in the world. It needs to be people who are high profile, who can give it more oomph to inspire people.
Well, and I think what will end up happening is more and more high profile people are going to fall first. And really what this is going to boil down to, I mean, as silly as it seems that the logo of Cracker Barrel,
I know, I was thinking of them too.
has become this sort of flashpoint, right? But it has. And in a lot of ways, it was quantifiably a silly redesign, right? Like, it was an unnecessary change. However, the way in which and the speed at which they shifted, and they certainly didn't do that when we were outraged about changes that Target was making, right? When Target was reducing the footprint of the LGBTQ community and all of those types of things were happening, and we threw a fit. They didn't shift back and go, oh, people are upset. But they did here. They did on this issue. And so what we'll have to watch is, does that work? Does Cracker Barrel stock go back up? Do people start shopping? Do they have a resurgence? And if they do, you're going to see more people fall to the wayside, because at the end of the day, most of these people that we idolize, most of these celebrities, they're just falling a buck.
I think Target did experience some drop off in shopping.
Oh, they experienced the drop off just as and so, but that's going to be the issue. It's because they dropped because they didn't shift, they didn't come back. So they lost all of those people.
They eliminated their DEI initiatives and all that stuff, so it kept going.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I know. We'll see with Cracker Barrel, because I think we all have an idea of what we think the typical Cracker Barrel customer is. So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out. But they did just like go, oh, okay, well, what are you talking about? What about the Intel thing? Like, we own Intel now? Like, part of Intel?
10%?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Like, okay, let's just own companies now. Like,
well, but isn't that the fun and cute part of it? Is like, the whole fear that they mongered about the Democrats is, that they're communists, and now all of a sudden Trump is like, we have seized the means of production. Like, I know,
it's like, what? It just goes to show that, what we know is that people don't know what socialism is. They don't know what communism is. They don't know what fascism is. So,
but they know that they like him and they believe in him, and so that is
whatever
the
he
problem.
says. Yeah.
And I'm afraid there's this concept of statism, which can be left or right, which is completely misunderstood. And that's where you run into this silly idea that Nazis are socialists because it's in their title. But that
Mhm.
left or right, they could be all encompassing throughout the economy, the social life, or what have you.
I think it's more
I think the
helpful to
Cracker
use the
Barrel
term
thing was a
autocracy.
publicity stunt, to be honest with you.
Sorry, Tim. I think you should say autocracy when you have, or, you know, or what's the other, there's other terms that mean
Authoritarian.
authoritarian. Yeah. One guy. And there are people, I believe, they legitimately believe the president can do whatever he wants. They do think that. They think he has the right to. They think he has the power to. They don't care.
And so far they're correct.
Right.
Because nothing has stopped him. Like, I don't think people understand how much of the Constitution is really based on honor. Like, there's no real, they're like, this is this and this is that. But then if you look at it, there is no, and here's the consequence if you don't do it. It just says this is this and this is that. And Trump's in there being like, probably not.
Make me.
Right. And so, you know, that is exactly where we are, is that he is unconcerned. He's faced zero consequences for any of his actions. And until there is a consequence, why stop?
And I really think that some of this really weird behavior, if you watch what he was like when he spoke in his first term, it's actually striking how much more incoherent he is. They're just letting him do whatever he wants so that they can keep doing what they want.
Sure.
On the back end. They want to keep continuing with all of the Project 2025 stuff. So as long as they keep him happy, they can keep doing this stuff. And they'll tell him, here, you got to do this. This is the executive order to do this. And he'll come up with weird things on his own too. That's what they're doing. They're just continuing. It's honestly, and I thought this for about a year now, even since the campaign, it's kind of elder abuse, actually. Not that I care in his case, really. I mean, normally I would, but he's out of his mind.
Unless he isn't.
Unless he isn't, right?
You know, I mean, an argument could be made of the, do I think there's decline? Of course there's decline. You can't get older without decline. I mean, I turned 41 last week, and my body decided to remind me of that by my back being thrown out. And then as soon as I got over that, I immediately just got sick with nothing. My body was just like, we're going to be sick now, you know? So of course there's decline, but I think that Trump intentionally, I think, dumbs down his speech.
Oh yeah.
There's just no doubt, because you watch him shift from room to room, and you know, depending on who he's speaking to, when he's in the crowds, you know, he's speaking at about a third grade level, right? But then he can walk right out of that into an interview, and all of a sudden he seems sharp and pointed and direct and demanding. And I think he's a lot more involved than many liberals would like to imagine, because it's better to imagine that he's just this big, mean, scary blob of incoherent, than that he's really got a plan.
He has
and
his
this
moments,
was the plan.
but he's said some
all
really
along.
weird stuff in interviews lately too that makes you think.
Yeah, of course he has, because I think that one, he's not leaving. Like, I think that's the part that, I mean, I don't mean to bust everyone's bubble, but you know, people just keep being like, oh, but the election, are y'all paying attention?
We're not even a year in.
What election? Like, you
Right.
really just think we were going to walk into voting booths and everything's going to go great, and there's not going to be national guard. I mean, let's just, even if they don't suspend it, you think it's going to be,
Right.
oh, come on now. Don't be cute. Like, and the thing is, I'm sure if y'all can read the comments right now, everyone's saying that I'm an alarmist. And I don't care, because that's what y'all said when I left the priesthood 12 years ago and said I'm pretty sure that Russia's going to interfere in our elections and attempt to steal Ukraine. And everyone told me I was crazy about that. And then when I said that Trump was going to be a fascist, and I got called an alarmist, and look at it. So, like, I mean, at some point, like, hope is valuable. But being a Cassandra isn't. Like, just imagining that this is all going to just be fine.
Yeah. We can't be
uh,
surprised by anything anymore. And that's the thing.
Right.
We have to have that mindset. We really should have that mindset.
No,
It's
we
not
are
gonna go back to the
screwed.
way it was.
We are screwed. What are you going to do about it? Like, that's the actual, that's where we are on the "you are here today in the fall into fascism" roadmap.
Yeah, facts. Tim's got cleaners at his house, unfortunately. He's having a rough time. He can't just chime in, apparently.
You
I
have
can,
spies?
but
It's
you
always
hear that the background.
It's always at the worst time, always. I had the air conditioning people came right 15 minutes before I had a meeting at home the other day. Like, really?
Oh, that's something that makes me homesick. I don't think it's possible to find a German air conditioning unit. And let me tell you, global warming is real. It
Texas,
is
I have 2 of
ridiculously
them.
hot here. Oh God, that must be nice.
I have 4 things that can break. It's terrific.
That's not the first. Like, there have been heat waves before, though. Why the fuck is this still a thing? Is my sound broken again?
No. No. Let me see. Oh, okay.
I'm just enjoying the nice hum of vacuums in the background. It's very soothing.
Take a nap.
There's this big protest that's supposed to be happening Tuesday in DC, and a lot of people in the removal coalition, which you're a part of, are concerned because a lot of people are traveling in to DC and they go through Union Station, which apparently, per the DC mayor, has always belonged to the federal government, and they're just reasserting control over it.
That's what she said.
I can't imagine why people would be
More or less
concerned
verbatim,
about
yeah.
fascists taking over train systems, but but at least they're still going. Like, that's the thing is I think that's what will start making them afraid, is if people continue to show up in spite of those types of concerns.
The possibility of conflicts and confrontations coming up at this is more concerning than it has been before. It really is. Some of our folks are going to go, and it's concerning.
When you say gonna go,
are going
on the train.
Well, not necessarily the train, but just are going to DC for these protests, where there will be
I misunderstood the
National
context.
Guard and at all.
Well,
I've actually heard that a lot of the guardsmen are pretty chill. Like, they're like, yeah, we have to stay professional, but we don't really want to be here.
Like we're in LA.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, it's an inevitability. they're going to keep pushing until they want a reason.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
the other thing that's
He's
scary about
looking
it.
for a reason.
Right, is to have to think of those principles of nonviolent protest as a way to keep those confrontations on the right side, I guess. If there's going to be violence, that they're going to be the ones to do it, not protesters.
But it's going to happen. And I mean, at a certain point, it's an inevitability. Like there will be a moment, and it will be unavoidable, where it will probably be that will reach a moment that the most ethical option will be to have to do something. You know, I mean, what do you do when they start hauling off? We've blown past every red line that people said was a red line.
Yeah.
And at some point, you know, I mean, do we just watch when hundreds of protesters are thrown into the back of vans and hauled off to, you know, Union Station and disappeared into the railroads, and we go, well,
Yeah.
you know, or at some point, do we push over the van? Like, I mean, we're real. Our ideologies are clashing. Is the problem? Is there was this myth that we were taught that if we just showed up and we were peaceful and we were quiet and we sat with our hands folded and we made our cutesy little signs, that it would never get to here. And it has. And we played too nice after J6. And this is where we are.
I mean, the way that we dealt with the Confederacy was kind of a big red flag. So January 6th was like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
I think we thought that was a foregone conclusion of how people would see that. Anybody with any iota of common sense would see it a certain way, and underestimated the influence that he has on people to just go, oh, okay, no, it's fine. Because that's what's going on now too with immigrants. Well, they're here, they shouldn't be here. Well, protesters, well, they shouldn't have been protesting. They're, you know, they don't even know how things work. So why would they respect those things? You know, the honor that you speak, you know, that you mentioned. I mean, I can see that totally. They just will keep doing whatever he says.
Well, and that I think is where we've reached a fundamental crossroads, like as a nation, as a people, as a self-governing entity. What are we going to do about it? And we're watching things happen. I saw, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said there's a young Hispanic girl hiding in a closet right now, writing what will be the next diary that children read in history class 50 years from now. And we all have cute things that we said in high school of what we would do if we were here. We're here. And what was that you said when you were in high school?
Yeah, the past 10 years, a lot of people have been like, oh, well, I know how I would have reacted in the Civil War / 1930s Germany.
Yeah.
And a lot of those same people right now are tongue in the boot.
Or
I think
worse.
that's a pattern that's often repeated. If you see that even the most outspoken of people that have lived in any type of dictatorship, it's very, very easy to get people to shut down and be quiet with just a small amount of force. And then when they do take the next step, They start threatening your family, your livelihood, what you have. And I don't care how macho or tough somebody thinks they are, you have something like that threatened in your face. I don't know how many people can resist that. I saw that in this part of Germany with what the Stasi would do to people. They would take somebody out of bed, keep them awake for 2 days, and just drill them with questions. That's all they did. No torture, just sleep deprivation. After a couple of days, they would say, well, if you don't cooperate, we'll take your children away. And as soon as that happened, people signed the papers, started being um, unofficial informants, ratting on their neighbors, friends, coworkers. It's very easy when you have a personal threat like this at that level.
What I think people need to learn from those moments in history is they're going to take your children away. They're going to kill you. Like, they're going to do all the bad, scary things. All you're doing is delaying the inevitable. And so, but that's how they prevent us from getting to that 3.5%. That right there is if they can continue to erode, but the end game remains the same. They will, whatever they threaten you with on this end, they will eventually do. You're just putting that hurt on pause.
Everybody's just trying to walk with their head down and hope that they can get through this. I think that's the point where you're at,
Well, you can't get through it because what's going to happen is God forbid you survive with your head down, because what waits on the other side of this is your children and your grandchildren. And they will ask you what you did and where you stood. And as someone who lives in the South, I mean, I know where my great grandfather, my namesake, I know where he was during the Civil War, and it weren't on the right side. And so I know that because I've researched it, because I wanted to know the answer. And most of us have an intrinsic desire to know where we came from and what we were cut from. And so people will, you can duck and cover. But the question is coming. One day the question will be asked of you what you did during this time.
Yeah. That's why we do this. What we're doing is because precisely so we feel like we're doing something and hoping that that is going to at least make some of that 3% difference.
Well, hearts and minds have to change. People need to be reminded that we do have power. And if we didn't have power, they wouldn't be afraid of us.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want us to show up. They're going to make it more and more difficult to do so. Because if we show up, we can win. And I know that we can win because historically, authoritarian regimes fall. Now, sometimes that takes a couple of thousand years. Sometimes we accomplish it in about, 5. But they fall. But at the same time, I mean, this is the house that we built too, right? I mean, Trump is sort of a walking embodiment of the worst parts of our culture. And so I think, I don't know that we learn the lesson until we're willing to admit we think we're different than Trump. And really, Trump is just a very dirty mirror that we're having to look into and realize, I mean, this, we're all sitting on our iPhones tweeting about the dangers of consumerism, right? And so, and we're missing that component. And we're going to have to face that how we got here.
Yeah.
is that he's just a very ugly reflection of our culture.
We won't, but we're just going to get enough of our shit together, hopefully. The people who are mad about things, like, I don't know about the Epstein stuff, the people who staked their, that was their primary, concern.
Sure.
That's still just kind of, there's a little bits of movement, but I mean, the memory is so short. Like, just the whole, oh, it's been a long time. I don't think we're really that concerned about this anymore. Like, really, everybody can be a hypocrite, sure, but the turning on a dime like that is just, is that what we're going to do? Is that what's going to happen? They were so mad about it. What did they think was going to happen? It's like, well, something better happen. They were just kind of coasting along right now.
I live out in the middle of nowhere, and a neighbor of mine sold their property. And by neighbor, I mean you have to get in the car and drive down the road to go to the neighbor's house, kind of thing. And these people that bought the property, they didn't go to it. They bought it sight unseen, like as a retirement home type deal. And they arrive, and when they get there, it's a long gravel driveway, and there was a tree that had fallen over during the winter. And they called my neighbor, and they said, there's a tree down. And her response was, well, you own it now, And they were like, well, are you going to come and fix it? And she was like, there wasn't a tree down when I sold it to you, And they were like, well, then who do we call to fix it?
We're not your landlord.
And she gave them instructions. They wanted to know what government agency, whatever. And she ended up giving them directions to the Lowe's so they could go buy a chainsaw. And I think that one of the things that we have done is everyone's looking around for who's going to fix it.
Yeah.
And the reality is you need to go get yourself a goddamn chainsaw. Like, you're going to have, like, you're who fixes it. Like, at the end of the day, a democracy is only as good as you participate in it. And so you're who fixes this. And I think, if Donald Trump has given us anything, is that the excuse of, well, I can't run because I've got a lot of skeletons in my closet, might finally be over. Like,
I know. I've been watching these documentaries with my kids. We've been watching the one that's for the 2000s, where like Obama had admitted that he smoked weed, and my kids just looked at me like, what? So those things used to be a thing. Oh, he was divorced. That was a thing.
mm-hmm.
Nothing's a thing anymore.
I don't know. I just hope that we don't become that we don't shift too far in the other direction, where we go, everyone's got to be, now that we've seen the ugliness of Trump, I hope that we don't go, oh, now we need people who are saints. I hope we don't shift back into that mentality of, like, we don't want a president who's never smoked pot. I'm like, I want a president who did drag. Like, I want a president who served tables before. I want someone who's sat and smoked pot and figured out a way to communicate with their Hispanic coworkers, that they didn't have an understanding of each other's language, but they figured out how to care about each other. Like, I want somebody like that, but somebody like that's going to have a felony, and somebody like that's going to have problems. They're not going to be squeaky clean. They didn't have, daddy that could jump in and get them out of trouble when they, duct tape somebody to a flagpole, when they were at Harvard. Like, they don't they don't have that. But I'd love to see that person president.
Yeah, I think we are looking for people to save us. They're looking for people to save the Democratic Party, and that's just gonna have to. Those days are gone. Those days are gone where everybody just rallies around. But they did. I am heartened. The idea that they are going to maybe do a mini convention before the midterms. I think that would be a good idea. Basically, just put on a spectacle.
Yeah, well, they should. They should.
And make
Because
it
right now,
the election a thing.
well, right now, Gavin Newsom and Pritzker and whoever, they're already running for president. And people are just like, oh, well, that's fine. This is normal. And so for lack of us taking charge, people are going to just step into the void, and people are so desperate, so thirsty for any example of leadership that just the slight, like, let's be honest about what Gavin Newsom has done. This bold and brave step is he is copying Donald Trump's tweets and tweeting them back at him. Like, that's it. And so, but we're so desperate for leadership that I am literally reading comments where people are like, I am horny for Gavin Newsom. Like, no, you are horny for somebody to actually give a fuck. And he's doing the most bare minimum of that. And we're just dying. And so we're really off track. But I think because people want it, and because there is a leadership vacuum right now, there is a moment, and things like having conventions, there is a moment for a shift, and we're already seeing that right now with what's happening with the elections in New York, where the people's opinion is seemingly breaking through the noise of these massive political party mechanisms, which is pretty. I mean, that's pretty dope.
Mm-hmm. And I think that works for an election, that like a race like that. That works where you can have a progressive candidate in that. And I have some of my friends have difficulty living in the reality that probably we're not going to have a really progressive Democratic candidate for president, because they're not going to go. I don't think they're going to go that way. I don't think they believe they can. That we can.
Well, I don't think they believe they can, but I think we can force them to have to do it.
Possible.
Because the truth of the matter is, the vast majority, they say we can't win, with the progressive candidate. I don't think that's true. I think we've lost because we haven't had a progressive enough candidate. That's why we are continuing to lose.
At the messages involved, I think that they stoop to their level of discourse. The Democratic Party does. Therefore, they're not defining it themselves. If they continue where they have been, there's no way, because they haven't been able to articulate why anyone would want those things, like the labor vote. That's the one that's the most disappointing. Like, come on now. That seems to be like a no-brainer.
Oh, sure. And I think where we're at now, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you're over there in Germany right now. I know they've had some political upheaval at the moment, but Germany after the fall of the Third Reich did start leaning left. That becomes the answer. And I think we have an information age now, that we can reframe. We can get these ideas out there. If America was willing to actually do it and wrap themselves in an American flag and accept fascism, then we can accept more progressive ideologies. Because we've already swung all the way to the right, and they're pretending as if the only way that we can go now is to the center, but that's not actually how a pendulum works.
Right.
It lands in the center after a long period of this. And so I think there is no other option now than to show people what it would actually look like to have your roads function and have health care and be happy and wake up without fear. Like that's going to have to be the answer.
There's lots of things we could agree on if anyone cared about that. But they haven't cared about that. It's been the extremes. And there's but nobody wants to have that discourse. That's because that's just not where we're at. I mean, I really believe that when it comes to healthcare, especially. Even abortion, we could come to some agreements on that nobody wants to try. Nobody will. Nobody's willing to deal, because they're too busy appealing to the most extreme elements.
Well, even with
Are we
Germany,
like the last first world country to not have?
Yep.
It's pathetic.
But when Germany was given that social system, that was pretty much imposed by Roosevelt's people and Clement Attlee from Britain. And there was literally no infrastructure left standing in 1945. The entire country, well, not the entire country, most of the country was flat. There was nothing left. And there simply wasn't any option. Nobody had money. I mean, that's why you still even see a renter society here. People don't buy property because nobody was able to be in debt to get money from a bank to buy anything. But they have what's called Christian democracy, which I think you might know something about.
Yeah.
Well, it's Christian democracy. And what that really turns into is what's called the social market, instead of the liberal market that we have in the US, where they are willing to tolerate much higher taxes, for example. But then in turn, I've got 30 days vacation paid, unlimited sick leave, but my tax rate is well over 40%. So, I mean, I'm willing to pay for it. And, my salary, I'm certain, is lower than anything that you guys see back home, but my taxes are higher. And I mean, really, to put it in perspective, I think when I filled up my car yesterday, it was over $7 a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was $1.65 or €1.65 a liter, do 3.8, whatever. Yeah, so about 7.
But you have like public transportation that we don't have. Like we just don't have it. Like,
yeah, except I don't want to be crowded into a tram with, you're in there like a sardine with everybody else. I'm still too much of a Midwesterner at heart.
Elon Musk promised us the bullet train, the thing that practically, shoots you there like Star Trek. But I guess we're not keeping track of that stuff anymore. Like I could get to Dallas in an hour and a half. Really? I want that.
But you see the same kind of alt-right populism is here as well. The second largest party in the nation is called the AfD, and it's basically Trump European style. Then there's even something new called left-wing nationalism here, which this one is just a complete mind trip for me. They want to build up the social system, but ban foreigners from entering the country at the same time.
Well, and that sort of isolationism, I mean, there's chatter in Canada, there's, all over. And I think the only way to avoid this virus spreading is for us to stop it here. And then they'll see that it isn't worth replicating. But if this is the thing that people should be concerned about, sort of what we were talking about earlier of everyone's looking for who's going to save us. Who's going to liberate us? Like what axis of power exists if Russia and China and the United States decide to just create a conglomeration as a global superpower of authoritarianism? Europe's going to fix that.
No, it's here too. Look at Turkey, look in Slovakia,
Sure.
president of Croatia, they're all into what's called illiberal democracy. It's literally a hybrid of dictatorship and democracy. It's no longer, I wouldn't call it a textbook democracy, but it's not a dictatorship either, but it's literally right on the line. There is freedom of speech, but there's only one media outlet, for example.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, freedom of speech, as it is.
I do think, though, now that we've talked about all the horrible ways that we're about to die, I mean, there is hope. You know, I think I had a conversation recently at a little roundtable discussion, and somebody said that they believed that this was it. This was the end. You know, and I said, well, that's such American exceptionalism that after all this time, we think we'll also be the ones that destroy it all. Do I think that it'll look like what we've been living in on the other side of whatever there'll be? Probably not. I recently rewatched the classically acclaimed film Mars Attacks the other day with my kids, and I thought that the speech at the end of that film, because as they look out over the rubble of America, the only people who are left are basically the kids. You know, the kids of the president, the kids of the soldiers, the kids of that knew how to play video games, so they were ready to fight these aliens. And I thought that was such a fascinating story. And this kid gives a speech at the end because he receives this medal. And he goes, you know, I guess it's time to start rebuilding. But I guess if we're going to do that, maybe we could consider teepees instead, because maybe that's better. And it wasn't an eloquent speech. It wasn't, but it was just sort of like, hey, maybe we should try something. Maybe we went a little too far off, you know. And I remember I had that conversation when I was running the shelters, and people were like, you know, I don't understand why people are just sleeping outside. And I would remind people, you know, the sleeping inside business in the grand scheme of human history, kind of new, kind of a new idea. This us all living on a grid packed in like sardines. That's new. I mean, you know, you were talking about air conditioning, right? And that's pretty new too. It was not that long ago. And so maybe we got too far. Maybe this is, you know, not to get religious. I mean, maybe this is the Tower of Babel. Maybe we built just a little too high, and we got to have a little bit of a reset. I don't know. I don't really care. I think we got to have a change. It looks like somebody asked a question. Could somebody read that for me, because I don't have my spectacles on?
Yeah, you've hit that age.
I know, it's horrible.
What are your thoughts on Caitlin Dre's victory in Iowa? More signs of hope?
Well, I mean, I think it's indicative of the fact that people are done. I think people have underestimated the Trump voter, right? Like that. I think there were a lot of people who really, really earnestly believed that he was going to do all of these things that he said he was going to do, and he's not doing them now, right? Doge fell. They didn't make the changes that they claimed that they were going to make in those directions. I don't think many, you know, there's a lot of very vocal people who are enjoying the chaos, but I think the average, you know, middle America Republican who showed up because they, don't like abortion or whatever. They're not as I don't think they have an appetite for necessarily seeing marriage equality overturned. I don't think that's like the vast majority of people. And so, yes, I think as long as there are elections, we are going to see more of those types of events where people are like anything to get us off of this chaos. Because I think what's hurting a lot of Republicans' feelings right now is how right we were.
Yeah, it's hard for people to admit they were wrong. And that's
Right,
what I
but
wonder about this result, is how much of it was people that just stayed home out of disgust, and how many people was it that they legit like changed their mind and decided to vote for the Democrat?
yeah, and in a certain way, I don't care, right? Because
Right.
like as long as
You
this
get
is
what you
happening.
want, right?
But I think there's a lot of people who have some big buyer's remorse right now. Because I kept all through the election, I was hearing, well, don't, he didn't do any of this stuff in 2016. Why would he do it now? And then here we are, just a smidge past 100 days, and this is an America that people feel very unfamiliar with all of a sudden, and so. Yeah, I think that's reason for hope. I think that again, and I hate to just be like, except for if the next big scary happens, but except unless the next big scary happens, I think we will win if there are elections. I think that is, I don't know how. I mean, especially at the midterms, I think we have every probability of flipping the House and the Senate. I think the data is there to prove that. So then what? But then that means they know that too.
Exactly. That's what's
And
worrisome about it. What
right,
will
and
they
so
try to do?
that's the thing that's what should scare you. Um, I mean, is one of the tactical things where I really think Newsom is messing up in a certain way is, um, when they were attempting to gerrymander and then succeeded at gerrymandering in Texas again, that has. But then Newsom's going, oh well, we'll do the same thing, and then we'll equal you out. We'll cancel out what you just did. I think that actually propels us closer to not having elections than before, because they were gerrymandering because they were intending to have elections. But if we continue to thwart in that way, then I think we get closer and closer to. And I mean, the guy's not making any secret. I mean, he literally said last week, or at one of the meetings over Ukraine, he said, "Oh, well, if there's a war going on, that might give me a reason to suspend the elections." I mean, he just said it. And I think what shocks the shit out of me is that there's still people in this world, including in the Democratic Party, who keep acting like he's just kidding. He's going to do like public executions in Washington, D.C. Like that's where we are heading. And then, it's like I can just imagine like we're watching a head roll, down the streets of Washington, D.C., and people are like, at least it weren't Kamala. Like I just, like, can you imagine how bad it'd have been if she won? Like, it is so weird.
It's weird. I think that after his first term, and even leading into the election, starting at the beginning of this year, him actually doing all those crazy things that he said he was going to do. Last year, people was like, oh, he says a lot of things. He's not going to do those things. He didn't do them in his first term. Now they realize, yes, he is going to do those things. So
well, there were still guardrails at that time.
right, right. He had he appointed people to the cabinet that were actually qualified for their jobs and who, he ended up having conflicts with because of that. But this time, nope, he didn't even make a pretense of putting people in charge that were qualified or had any qualifications at all. So, yep, he's going to do all those crazy things because the number one qualification was loyalty.
Well, he said he was going to go on a revenge tour. He said he was going to screw everybody up.
He said all these things.
He said it, and people are shocked that he meant it.
Can't be shocked anymore. Nope. You're exactly right.
Well, before I have to run on to the next thing, I was going to see if anybody else had any questions in the comments. I have no power or control here. I can't even see how many people are paying attention. I didn't realize what a control freak I was until this very moment.
Go get on the YouTube. You can see the comments on YouTube. You can come back to it. You can yell at those if you want to.
I don't see any additional
any questions. I just see yes.
Yeah. Our stream viewers are typically very much aligned with us and the people that we have on the live stream. So you don't get on occasion we'll get like one or two trolls, but by and large it's all pretty much people that are established or recently new, but still kind of parallelish.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're any different, the daytime people versus the evening people. Who knows?
Well, the daytime people are sober.
Well,
exactly.
I would suspect that, but I didn't want to say.
I didn't want to challenge the booking person. They're just like, here's this date and time. And I'm like, okay, cool, good. I didn't push back at all. Like,
I'll take it.
Could we do 8 so I could get drunk?
Seemed less important.
Yeah, we try to be really flexible with the scheduling to make sure that we meet the availability for people that either ask us to be on or we approach them or we kind of stumble into it, however it happened.
Someone commented that Joni Ernst really got people in Iowa pretty mad about the whole "we're going to die anyway" stuff, that might have been helpful to soften up Iowa, basically.
Yeah, what a ridiculous. I mean, we are going to die anyways. But
that's not the response.
But that's not the same thing. Like I mean, can you imagine? I mean, kid gets an ear infection, and you're like, well, we could give him penicillin for the next 7 days, or I mean, little bastard's gonna die anyways, so better now than later.
My parents kind of did have that attitude about if I was sick, you'll be fine.
Rub some dirt on it.
Hey, Gen X, That's the truth.
No, it's nuts. I think it's very, very encouraging to remember that it has never not been nuts. Like it has always been crazy. It's just the weirdness has sometimes been in other pockets. Like, somebody asked me the other day, they said, do you think we're heading towards civil war? And I said, which we are we talking about? Because there's a civil war happening everywhere, somewhere in the world today. That's happening. And so, but I mean, I guess the question you have to ask yourself really with something like that is, the streets are currently occupied in multiple places by the National Guard. You have less liberties today than you did yesterday. I mean, is the Civil War based purely on body count?
Do you need bayonets?
Right. Like, I don't know, like, and honestly, I think I mean, I think history will look back at likely the death of Trayvon Martin as our Fort Sumter. I think we've been in a stasis of genuine conflict, and it's like people say, "Oh, nobody's died." Yes, they have. It just, I think what people, this was never going to be directed by Mel Gibson, right? Like, it was never going to look like that. And so, I think we think of moments like the Civil War purely in the framework of Gettysburg, right?
Mhm.
And not just the weird day-to-day happenings that were going. People went to the store, they bought groceries, they did stuff. They're doing that now in Ukraine. I think the images coming out of Gaza, I think what is very shocking for people, why even people who've sat on the fence on that issue for so long are finally starting to speak out, is the fact that there's no more images coming out of that look normal. Like, we've passed normal. There isn't a store standing that people are casually going to. We're past that, and then that becomes alarming. So, we're fucked, but we always have been, kids, is the point.
Yep.
Some degrees.
I'm wondering just how many people we were talking about, where's the line in the sand, the red line for people. And I'm wondering how many people had several things on there and have kind of kept, proverbially speaking, moving the goalposts. And it just, I want, and if we did a Venn diagram of people who are like, well, I'm absolutely positive where I would have been in the American Civil War, the Third Reich, or whatever other things we draw parallels to, like, where would that overlap? Interlap's not even a word.
Well, I mean, I'm doing what I thought I would do. I mean, but at the same time, I mean, I think there's certain things that we've blown past that even I've been a little disappointed in myself. I think here's the problem. I think that the Democratic Party would have condemned Bonhoeffer. They would have said that his ideas were too radical, and that he was pushing us towards violence and etc. Right? But at the same time, we would have canceled Schindler, because for all intents and purposes and appearances, he was a member of the party. So and so I mean, this is the problem: is we can all sit here and judge our neighbor on what they are and are not doing right now, and the history is going to tell us. I got really blasted on the internet right after the election for something that I said, so I'm going to go ahead and double down on y'all's program so you can deal with the aftermath of it when I run away. But there are people right now that you think are villains who are heroes.
Okay.
There are people working in the White House right now that you are villainizing, that you think are evil, that are currently working on their own Project Valkyrie type moments, right? And so we really will not know until we are on the other side of this thing, who was good and who was bad, you know, who was fighting, who wasn't. I mean, just for my own personal ability to have sanity, I hope it isn't Musk. You know,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I just don't want to have to name high schools after him. You know what I mean? Like, it just,
Right.
but like, I mean, that's the truth of the matter. Is we don't know shit right now. It's going to take a lot of dust settling before we get any semblance of an understanding of what's really been going on.
That's true. Someone is speculating in comments that potentially Rubio, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's a leak as well.
I've met him. I lived in Florida for a while. I've met him, had conversations with him. You know, the thing is, he was, every time I've been in the same room with him, he's just a very kind, seemingly person. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've also met RFK Jr. too, and you know, the thing is, a lot of people are surprised. I mean, he didn't use. He's talking about somebody who did change. He did not used to be
No.
this,
No.
and it's very, very disappointing.
His
And
main
very
cause was the
alarming.
environmental stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I lived in Pensacola, Florida, and he and Mike Papantonio were very close. They had a podcast called The Ring of Fire that was also a syndicated talk show as well. And you know, I mean, I think what happened with him, from everything I understand, is, you know, he fought a lot of these, you know, big pharma companies that were doing, they were doing shitty math, right? Where they go, if this is only going to kill this amount of people, then that's fine, and we can cut those insurance policies that we have to pay out as a loss, and we'll make enough off the people who aren't dead or addicted to make it all work out in the end. And I think he started with altruistic fights like that, and then somehow was like, well, if we get from here to there, then maybe we've got autism, you know? And it's like, whoa, how did we do that? But he did. And so, but the reason I'm saying that is that, what that means is somewhere in him is that guy. And I think a lot about, you know, people forget that Darth Vader is not the supreme leader, but he brings him down, and that, because in him somewhere was still Anakin, right? And that same sort of allegory, I think, can play out in some of these scenarios, that, you know, a lot of these people, they've bent the knee, and they're quantifiably shitty people for having done that. But that also means somewhere in them, somewhere inside Rubio, is that guy who also called Trump a fascist. And he's sitting at the table. And so who knows? I don't know. It doesn't matter that I'm right most of the time. I still don't know. You know, like it just I don't know. Maybe we're
It's likely
screwed.
to think that there's resistance in there somewhere amongst
There
these
has to
people.
be. Just stuff leaks. We know things that we shouldn't know. Somebody in there is telling us stuff.
Yeah. Because the media is neutering themselves. So
Right. Yeah. Like someone is telling people stuff. We're getting information that we're not supposed to know. There are people in there that have somehow, and I couldn't do it. I don't know how to shut up.
too.
But there are people that have somehow gotten themselves convinced, and history has proven that we need those people. So they are correct. There are people that their great sacrifice to their country is that they're shutting up and sitting there at that table. And you want to talk about people who are going to die? When they get found out, those will be the first people in trouble. And we're still worried about having to hop on a damn train to get to Washington, D.C. And there's people in the White House right now spying on the President of the United States.
What are the odds, though, that it's somebody big, so to speak? Like, for example, when you were talking about, villainizing the people that work in the administration, and some of them might be doing good. So I remember when, both as a veteran, but also while serving, General Mattis was, he was meme material. Like, he said things that upset people, but he also was like, you could, in theory, put him up on a pedestal with like Clint Eastwood and Chuck Norris and all these action stars,
Right.
the things that he was saying. But he also walked the walk. And when he took a job in the White House, a lot of people were like, "Oh, how could you do that?" And then other people were like, "Do you not see the intrinsic value of having that guy in there?" And then ultimately, it was kind of a mixed bag of what it was happening. But what are the odds that it's somebody like I don't see a Mattis in this administration, because personally, and this is just my opinion, it feels like they only have the bottom of the barrel, because they've gotten rid of all the people who were marginally willing to do it, that were competent. What if it's a staffer, like some random?
Well, I'm sure, of course, there are staffers that are doing those things and whatever. But again, the likelihood that they're going to be a staffer, when you watch television and you see somebody walk in and bringing tea, in the middle of like a super secret meeting, I think that's sort of an exaggeration. And the truth is, one of the great moments I'd like to keep bringing up, because it doesn't matter that Tom Cruise was in a movie about it. A lot of people do not remember, Project Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
And that was carried out by very powerful people in the administration that had access, and they risked a tremendous amount. And so, yeah, I just think history, it does repeat itself. Caesar to Hitler, authoritarians end up getting, oftentimes, at least attempts are made to take them down from the inside. So I think it's highly probable.
Well, we know they're incompetent at lots of things. So screening people would seem to be possibly one of them.
Yeah, well, Trump has made a very successful career out of being incompetent. So,
which is hilarious, because they think like this whole art of the deal stuff. It's like, really? Objectively,
He didn't even write that book. It was ghostwritten for him.
he'd
by
write for one
somebody
thing.
who was literate.
For one thing, he didn't write it. For another,
Yeah, but not to sound like a Republican troll, but he's still your president, whether he got it ghostwritten or not, whether he's stupid or not, whether he's actually a mad evil genius.
oh dear Lord.
You know, like he's still in charge, and that is the problem. And we are, yeah, we're in a tough spot. Well, unfortunately, my friends, my children are horrible and were raised by very bad parents, and stole my cord, and they've been threatened many times not to do this, and they keep going into my room and taking my cord, and that's exactly what they did. And I have 6% battery, so whether I do it politely and say goodbye now or not, I've got about 3 minutes left. So I'm so glad we got to do this. I know this has been we've been trying to make this happen for a hot minute, and I just love what y'all are doing. I think it's important work, getting people riled up and educated and all those types of things. We need more and more of that. Just don't expect to see all of the change that we hope to see, but we got to keep fighting, because we'll get there eventually, one way or the other.
You got to push as hard as you can to get what you can. So if you aim for the, I guess for lack of a better term, the far left,
Sure.
you'll get somewhere in the middle with all the complaining that everybody's gonna fucking do.
Well, here, one way or the other. But thank y'all so much. This has been an absolute blast. And if I can ever do anything, just let me know.
Do you know 2 claps and a Rick?
Do I know what? No.
It's a thing that I do at the end of the
Non
stream and at
sequitur?
the end of the videos.
All
You
right.
basically just say 2 claps and a Rick, and then you woo, like Ric Flair. Traditionally, I'm the
wrestler?
one that usually does it, but if you would like to close us out with the 2 claps and a Rick,
So
I will not
clap,
fanboy
clap.
at all.
And a woo is what we're going
Yep.
for.
You
All
just
right.
shout
Let's
2
get-
claps and a Rick, and then everybody, it's call and
All right.
response.
We'll see how this goes. So 2 claps and a Rick. And then
Woo!
there we go.
You got it. That's gonna be my new closeout for all my videos. I'm gonna like go record this
Wonderful.
and
I
cut
hope
it
that
and
is
be like it.
I hope that is the staple that I leave as my legacy, is that right there.
Well, you can come back anytime.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. We'll see you soon, my friends.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Take care.
Absolutely.
Bye.
You know what, guys, on that note, too, I've got to get up very, very early here.
Yeah, it's like
10:30.
10:30?
17 o'clock in the morning or something.
17 o'clock. Well, I've got to get up at 17 o'clock in the morning. Dark 30, and I can't talk
Yeah.
anymore at this hour.
Well, luckily
dark,
you were just kind of
damn it.
chilling.
This is ridiculous, though. Can you believe it? I've got stage fright with a camera looking at me right now, and I talk for a living. Go figure.
I mean, so I have a cleaning service that comes once a month. It's my little splurge, because whilst I can take care of my house on a day-to-day basis, these guys do crazy stuff that I would never, like, every time they come over, it's something new, and I'm like, oh, I should do that. And then I fucking forget. They're supposed to be here at like 9 a.m. this morning, and they're like, oh, we're running a little bit behind. We had a couple of last-minute rebooks, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, I got something going on at 3, so absolutely do not come at 3. And what do? Fucking 3 o'clock.
Yep.
I thought you said 3.
No,
You said 3.
I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I like just muted the microphone for a second, shouted, "Come in," because I left the door unlocked, and then Charlie and Mike.
God. Was she doing like the light fixture or the fan up above you? That was hilarious.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, she's doing the fan.
yeah. I don't even think they turned it off. I'm not even sure. I think they just kind of stuck it up there. They take down my curtains to like vacuum the top of the curtains, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
See, stuff you won't do. That's the thing. It needs done every once in a while, but not going to be
Never
you.
in my life have I. See, it's whatever. It's like, you know what? I pay for this. It's decently priced. If you want to do fucking Hakuna Matata with my booby lamp things.
How's Mikey with the vacuum cleaner?
I have to put him in his little cat carrier because he's very inquisitive. He's not afraid of vacuums at all. And I don't want
He'll get in the way.
You know, the people, yeah, he'll get in the way. Like he will sit there and try to help them like polish the mirror or something. And it's like, do you not smell this chemical? So I got to put him up. Otherwise they'll be like, can you get the cat? He's riding on top of the vacuum cleaner. So
The cats don't like the noise. They'll hide. No, they don't like it.
But speaking of hiding, I better roll on that note, guys. It's been fun.
You're trying to take everything as a segue into leaving.
Yeah, I do. I gotta go.
You can get to go, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll sit here and talk for like 5 hours.
We totally would.
Oh, I would love to, just
We
not
would do
tonight
that.
because I've got to get my ass up extra early. So.
You're gonna have a morning stream someday, huh?
Oh God.
A midday stream. Catch you when you're fresh.
Yeah, really.
All right. Good night.
All right, guys. Have fun.
All right. Well, that's going to be our stream, our special stream for today. See everybody in DC on the 1st, 2nd, and/or 3rd. I'll only be there the 2nd, but you know there'll be other Sons of Liberty people there.
I haven't heard of local ones. I don't know who's trying to do local ones. If anybody hears of local ones, call our attention to those, and we will help.
I can safely say that there are not local ones on the 2nd and the 3rd. Those are unique to DC. On the 1st, I'm not 100% sure what's going on because I take part in the discussions, and they specifically said we're not trying to do stuff on the 1st elsewhere. Like, come to DC. That's where we need to be. So none of us have really pushed, you know, doing the national level stuff for that. So
right. Okie dokie.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go play some fucking Star Citizen or something. I don't know.
I'll go back.
I might even stream it. All right. Thanks for helping me out with the stream. Really appreciate you being on too.
No problem. See y'all soon.
Bye, everyone.